What if I told you the United States doesn't actually plan to pay back its $38 trillion debt? And it doesn't need to. No dramatic default. No collapse headline. Just a quiet, invisible process already underway. $38 trillion. A number so large it barely feels real. Bigger than the entire U.S. economy. Bigger than the combined output of multiple superpowers. Every second, it grows, interest stacking on top of interest while politicians argue over debt ceilings. Like they still matter. The truth is uncomfortable. The U.S. cannot realistically pay this debt back, not with taxes, not with spending cuts, not even with record-breaking economic growth. Any serious attempt would freeze the economy, ignite social unrest, and destabilize the global financial system, and policymakers know this. So instead of asking, how do we pay it back, they ask something far more important. How do we make it stop mattering? The answer isn't loud. It's inflation. Inflation isn't just higher prices at the grocery store. It's a silent financial weapon. When inflation rises, the real value of money falls and debt is paid back in future dollars that are worth less than the dollars borrowed. If the government borrows $1 trillion today and inflation runs at 5 to 7% for years, the debt quietly shrinks in real terms. No debt forgiveness, no write-offs. The number stays the same, but its weight disappears. This is not a mistake. This is how the system is designed. Most people believe foreign countries own America's debt and control its fate. In reality, the largest holders are ordinary Americans through pensions, retirement funds, insurance companies, banks, and savings vehicles. Even the Federal Reserve itself holds massive portions of U.S. debt. And when inflation rises, the government benefits but savers pay the price. Bondholders lose purchasing power. Cash silently decays. The debt doesn't vanish. It gets transferred from the state to the public. The Federal Reserve plays a critical role in this process. It doesn't print money like a physical machine. It creates money digitally. When the Fed buys government bonds, it injects new dollars into the system, keeps borrowing costs low, and stabilizes markets. Debt moves from public hands to the central bank's balance sheet. And when inflation eats away at that money, the Fed doesn't panic. Central banks don't go bankrupt the way households do. Losses don't matter the same way. Here's the mechanism most people never hear about: negative real interest rates. When inflation is higher than interest rates, the government is effectively being paid to borrow. It repays debt with money that's worth less than what it originally borrowed. Over time, this acts like an invisible eraser. Not a default, not a collapse, just slow financial decay. This strategy isn't unique to the United States. Governments across the world are doing the same thing: aging populations, permanent deficits, and massive social obligations have made traditional debt repayment impossible. Inflation is politically survivable. Default is not. Instead of blaming debt policy, people blame corporations, landlords, or supply chains. But the real cost shows up quietly everywhere: at the grocery store, in rent prices, in shrinking savings, in paychecks that never keep up. There's no bill labeled debt reduction tax. You pay it through time. As long as the dollar remains the world's reserve currency, global trade depends on U.S. markets, and American bonds are seen as safe. This system can continue. Not forever, but longer than most people expect. Debt doesn't destroy nations. Loss of confidence does. And for now, confidence remains. The United States isn't secretly paying off $38 trillion in debt. It's redefining what the debt means, turning an impossible number into a slow, invisible tax spread across millions of people without a vote, without a headline, and without an announcement. So the next time you hear that America is drowning in debt, remember this: the real question isn't whether the debt will be erased. It's who is paying for it right now.